Now at 6 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, Victoria Police investigating a shooting in the 7600 block of North Navarro. We have a live report. The Victoria County Sheriff's Office caught up with 2 people accused in a robbery. And an update on the stolen tabernacle from St. Robert's Catholic Church in El Campo.
Yeah, it was another scorcher today. We got up to 103, 105 up in the Gonzales area. Now, we're going to be talking about improving weather conditions for us by next week. We're also going to be talking about Hurricane Lee, which is going to be a big problem on the East Coast. All that coming up in just a moment.
Texas high school football team north of Victoria is moving to 6-man football. We see how it affects the Crossroads in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 6.
This is breaking news from 25 News Now.
With breaking news around 3:30 today, Victoria Police responded to the 7600 block of North Navarro Street for a shooting. 25 News Now reporter and anchor Karina Garcia is live there with more. Karina?
That's right, Don. Today at exactly 3:23 p.m., the Victoria Police... That's right, Don. Today at exactly 3:23 p.m., the Victoria Police Department responded to this area right here, specifically the 7600 block of North Navarro. What we do know right now is that a child, 3-year-old child, is in an area hospital in critical condition. Now, we're working closely with the Victoria Police Department, and so far, no new details have been released. But what we do know is that this happened in an SUV vehicle driving on Navarro. They're also telling us that the shooting does appear to be accidental. I repeat, the shooting does appear to be accidental. For now, there is no threat to the public. The scene has been killed. No arrest or charges have been made. Of course, we're going to provide updates as they become available. I'm Karina Garcia reporting in Victoria, KVU TV 25 News Now.
Karina, thank you. Monday around 6 o'clock a.m., a masked gunman went into the Smitty's Texaco located in Inez, FM 444. Authorities say the robber took the cash register drawers and took off. Deputies caught up with a stolen vehicle a short time later. The vehicle was burned. Wednesday, authorities carry out a search warrant in the 3300 block of East Red River Street. They arrested 32-year-old Ryan Lynn Hargis of Port Lavaca and 31-year-old Eraina Ruiz of Victoria. They're charged with aggravated robbery, unauthorized use of a motor vehicle, and possession of a controlled substance. Calhoun County Sheriff's Office told us they in Matagorda County are involved with a wanted suspect in Calhoun County that was taken into custody by Bay City Police Wednesday night. 62-year-old Michael David Elliott wanted for a parole violation for murder, along with several other warrants in Calhoun County. Early Monday morning, someone stole the tabernacle at St. Robert's Catholic Church in El Campo. It was removed from the front altar underneath the church's main cross by at least 2 suspects who fled in a black compact SUV. Police told the El Campo Leader News it would have taken more than one person to carry it and that the thieves would have needed tools to remove the tabernacle. Now, Thursday afternoon, the church said on its Facebook page the tabernacle has been found with some of its contents. A major win for those who have been wanting to save the Luther, an historic hotel in Palacios that's been at risk of being demolished. After a month-long legal battle, the Ed Rochal Foundation has released the Luther Hotel from its contract. The foundation had offered $1.2 million to buy the property with plans to demolish the hotel, a move that concerned many who wanted the hotel to be preserved. Edith Gower on the Palacios Preservation Association says this is a huge win for the community of Palacios.
News. It's very different from what it was last week. It's not the end. We still have work to do. We still have to, try and buy the property. Contract that was between the Ed Rochal Foundation and the estate has said that if the hotel was not demolished by August 31st, Foundation had the right to get their earnest money back and walk away from the deal.
Now that the Luther Hotel is out of the Ed Rochelle Foundation's contract, Nick Herman, another interested buyer with ties to Palacios, has offered $1.65 million to buy the property with plans to restore and ultimately save the Luther. Cuero officials report a skunk found near Parkside Family Clinic has tested positive for rabies. Cuero residents told to be aware of any wildlife such as skunks, foxes, raccoons, or coyotes that are behaving in an unusual way and to contact Cuero Animal Control immediately. Emotional testimony on day 3 of the Ken Paxton impeachment trial. The Texas Tribune reports Ryan Bangert testified he did not want to report his boss to the FBI, but he concluded that Paxton's repeated use of the office to help his friend and political donor Nate Paul left him with no option but to report the behavior to the FBI. Another former Paxton aide, Ryan Vassar, said it was hurtful when he was asked about Paxton's statement that he was a rogue employee. You can watch the Texas Senate impeachment trial of Ken Paxton live on crossroadstoday.com. That's under news. The Salvation Army of Victoria averaging 10 to 12 people daily into its cooling station. The Salvation Army of Victoria has received the $250,000 grant from the City of Victoria for its Life Enrichment Center. They are buying supplies, construction materials, and equipment as they await construction permits. The Salvation Army is now preparing the property at its office at 1302 North Lewis Street for the center. Contractors have been hired for plumbing and electrical work, and the new air conditioning system is in place. Here's your viewer poll. Scan the QR code on your screen to vote now. Here's the question. Are you planning on attending the Keep Victoria Beautiful event? This Saturday morning, actually. Yes or no? And the voters say 15% say yes. 85% say no. We thank you for voting. We want to hear from you. We'll show you what you and your neighbors were saying on 25 News now at 10. The National Weather Service issues excessive heat warnings for 2 area counties. DeWitt and Jackson counties under excessive heat warnings until 7 o'clock tonight. The National Weather Service says heat index values up to 112 degrees are expected. Now let's take a first look at your forecast. Here's First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Mac Pettis. Mac, this is the first time this week we've mentioned excessive heat warnings for the Crossroads. We thought maybe it was cooling down a little bit, but I guess not.
Well, you know, it's the temperature and the humidity. The humidity is rising and the temperatures are still in the triple digits. These are the observed highs today across the entire state of Texas. Do you see anybody who doesn't need an air conditioner? Can you imagine everybody all the way to the Panhandle in the triple digits? Now, there is hope that beginning Monday, Tuesday, we may actually get out of the hundreds. Haven't done that in a while. We'll talk more about that coming up in a moment. Stay tuned.
Mac, thank you. ERCOT asking Texans to conserve electricity use today from 5 to 9 p.m. ERCOT says operating reserves expected to be low into the afternoon and evening hours. CNBC reports ERCOT reportedly paid Bitcoin mining company Riot Platforms $31.7 million to limit energy use in August. Riot Platforms said it is losing so much money that it's depending on energy credits from selling power back to the Texas grid to keep its costs under control. Riot Platforms had a net loss of over $500 million last year. This summer will go down as Texas' second hottest ever. The Texas Tribune reports the average temperature of 85.3 degrees between June and the end of August, just behind the summer of 2011, when the average temperature hit 86.8 degrees. Some cities, including El Paso and Austin, went more than 40 days without a single day that did not reach 100 degrees. 79 of the state's counties had their hottest summer on record. August was the second hottest month in Texas since 1895, when the state began keeping records. San Antonio police arrested 2 people, and they're looking for a third in connection with the kidnapping of a couple from their Southwest Side home Wednesday. KSAT reports 29-year-old Xavier Martinez and 42-year-old Felipe Valdez arrested. Authorities say a man and a woman were taken against their will by 2 men with guns who barged into their home. The couple are safe and reunited with their family. Authorities say the couple was targeted, but would not say what the motive of the kidnapping was. A 3-year-old girl who died on a migrant bus from Texas to Chicago last month had a bacterial infection and aspiration pneumonia. Illinois authorities say she also tested positive for viruses in her digestive and respiratory systems. They say those illnesses and the fact that she was underweight led to the death of Gismari Alejandra Barbosa Gonzalez. Authorities say she was given electrolytes in the bus, but eventually became unresponsive. She was then taken to a hospital and pronounced dead. A father and son are dead after a plane crash at the Huntsville Municipal Airport Wednesday. The FAA told KPRC the crash of the single-engine Cessna 150 happened on the south end runway of the airport. Authorities said the pilot was practicing landings and takeoffs. The victims were 20-year-old Ethan Cole Bishop, the pilot of the plane, and 43-year-old Elijah Nelson Bishop. The cause of the crash has not been determined. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell so when you're on YouTube you can see Crossroads Today. Stay with us. Coming up on 25 News now at 6, a vigil held in memory of a TCU student shot and killed last week. Also ahead, the next SpaceX launch delayed by the FAA. You held a vigil for the junior finance and marketing major killed last week in an apparent random shooting. Hundreds of people, including the parents of Wes Smith, took part in the prayer vigil Wednesday night. Wes Smith, a junior at TCU, shot and killed in Fort Worth's Entertainment District last Friday. Police say the suspect, Matthew Purdy, admitted he shot Smith 3 times and said he would have shot more people if he had not run out of ammunition. SpaceX will not be cleared to launch its 400-foot-tall Starship rocket until what the FAA calls a mishap investigation is completed. A statement from the FAA warned of a launch delay for the biggest rocket ever built, just hours after SpaceX boss Elon Musk said the craft was ready to launch on Wednesday. SpaceX, based in Boca Chica in South Texas, made its first and only attempt at an orbital Starship launch in April, with the rocket exploding over the Gulf of Mexico just 3 minutes into the 90-minute flight. Police in Birmingham, Alabama announced Thursday an arrest in a cold case homicide from 2021. On April 4th, 2021, Easter Sunday, Gunfire broke out in a park there. Officers found Ariel Yarbrough lying on the ground near her vehicle. She was pronounced dead at the scene. Authorities said today that 22-year-old Jalind Rashad Rayford was arrested in Snellville, Georgia early this morning on a murder warrant. Chief Thurman said investigators are still looking for other suspects. Schools in Massachusetts that don't have air conditioning struggling due to record heat. Some are closed today and tomorrow. Others are sending students home early and canceling after-school activities. In Boston, facility workers are trying to quickly install air conditioners. Some teachers elsewhere are relying on fans. Afternoon temperatures in Massachusetts feel close to 100 degrees in parts of the Bay State Thursday, even near the coast.
Absolutely, those temperatures are going to be changing, however, because of the very close movement of Hurricane Lee. For us, another scorcher today, folks. We're 98 degrees right about now. We managed to get up to 103 today. Can you believe it? Our record high is 106. Now, there is a hope that our temperatures will come down into the 90s next week, so we'll be talking about that and taking a very close look at Hurricane Lee, which is going to be a big problem for next week. We'll have all that coming up in just a moment. Stay tuned. Well, good afternoon, everybody. As of today, we now have had 56 days over 100 degrees, and that means that we've got 2 more days before we break the record and be number 1. That doesn't matter, really. It's been such a long, hot summer. Today, we looked like we were going to get a few little pop-up showers. The clouds were looking good, but then they just evaporated, and it got very hot. 103 was our high today. You see any kind of moisture around the area? Well, just about here in Louisiana, that's about as close as anything really is getting to our region. 103 our high, 101 in Port Lavaca, 105 in Gonzales. But I believe that by next week, we're going to see mid-90s. Wouldn't that be great? We are looking, of course, at the temperatures across the state, and you can imagine how everyone from the Sabine River to El Paso have got to figure out a way to cool down. So everybody's probably got all their air conditioners running, and that's a big load of energy on our system. So we just telling everybody, conserve when you can and use it when you must. But it has certainly been one for the record books, as you know. Now, forecast highs tomorrow, 102 for us, looking at 110 up in the Dallas area and even over the hundreds throughout the Rio Grande Valley as well. Now, we need that high pressure to move to the west like I'm expecting. And when it moves to the west, then a lot of this will cool down. Looking at heat advisories, this is for tomorrow, and excessive heat advisories for much of North Texas from the Dallas area north, because it's not just the temperature, it's the temperature and the humidity that make it so oppressive out there as well. Now we have to go to the Atlantic to talk about Hurricane Lee. Lee is a huge problem because it's already a Category 4. Makes a big difference from 1 to 4, and that happened in about 24 hours. It is forecast to become a 5 tomorrow and then stay as a 4 as it gets very close to the Nassau area. Now here are the Lesser Antilles right about here. Here's where the storm center is. You can see well organized, big eye right about there. You see the outer bands rolling around. Obviously it's rough surf in that area, but the question is, where is it going to go? Now, right now, all the computer models are very good agreement that it's going to stay together until about here, then it's going to turn. Best case scenario is that it turns in the ocean and keeps away from the eastern seaboard. Most likely scenario, the consensus of scenario, is that it will skirt near North Carolina, possibly clip New York and New England, and then turn out to sea. That's going to be a big one. If it comes on shore, it's going to be a Category 4, so that's going to be a huge problem. So one of the reasons why it is going to turn is because high pressure is moving back, low pressures along the east coast. That will allow the storm to start doing that little right-hand turn. If it turns out there, you know, we'll be in better shape, but let's just say it's going to be a very close situation. We've got to watch it. 98 tomorrow in Port Lavaca. For those of you in Cuero, well, back to the hundreds at least through this weekend. And for all of us, we'll stay in the hundreds until about Sunday, and then partly cloudy, a few little afternoon showers. And look at that, cooling temperatures only in the 90s. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we have a QR code. Love for you to scan that and put Crossroads Today on your phone. Here's Don.
Gino, thank you. Sports Director Gino Perez is here. And Gino, it sounds like a South Texas high school football team got thrown for a loss.
Yeah, one is making some changes, another one is on the high note. So we hear from both of them in sports. Development last night, the Runge Independent School District Board of Trustees voted on whether or not to keep the 11-man football team or switch to 6-man mid-season. The vote was 4-3 in favor of making the switch to 6-man football. The superintendent at Runge ISD said they only had 10 student athletes on the team, and all of which are excited for the opportunity to continue playing this season. The football team had to forfeit its first 2 games because of the lack of players. Some were out due to contracting COVID-19. The enrollment of Runge High School is only 70 students, and last season, the Yellow Jackets went 1-9. 2 area football teams are impacted by the decision of Runge to move down to 6-man football and will now have to either fill the spot or just take the forfeit victory. Those 2 schools are Yorktown and Bloomington. The Bobcats were set to play the Yellow Jackets next week, but head coach Brandon Krause of the Bloomington Bobcats said He is meeting with the superintendent tomorrow, and they will do what's best for Bloomington and continue to push forward. Meanwhile, the Wildcats, on the other hand, were going to take on the Yellow Jackets in the final game of district play. Head coach for Yorktown, Ryan Knotzman, said that they are looking to find a replacement, but if they don't, they'll find themselves in the playoff picture. They may take advantage of having the extra week off. And the athlete of the week had a monster game both through the air and on the ground against a formidable opponent. Industrial quarterback Ashton Garza knew he was going to have a big game if he and the rest of the Cobra squad were going to come out victorious against the Shiner Comanches. Garza came into the big game with a confident mindset because of his teammates on the defensive side of the ball. The senior has played in big games before, including in the third round last season when the Cobras took on the Llano Yellow Jackets. But Garza has one thing on his mind.
Just not to fold under pressure. I've been under pressure a lot since I've been the starter, and I was just confident that we would execute and get the win.
Before the season started, head coach Craig Nairn said the team voted Garza as one of the team captains of the Cobra squad. The second-year coach went on to say that the second-year starter is level-headed and willing to do anything to get better and help his team win, even if that includes running track, which he won district in earlier in the year.
And a lot of that stems from, he stayed extra. He stays extra. He didn't hardly miss one summer workout this summer. He's every morning workout we have, he's there. He's that guy.
Garza is a dual-threat quarterback and likes to be as accurate as possible when going through the air, and when he tucks it and runs it, he puts his nose down and tries to run through a wall. Although the second-year starter had a big game this past Friday, he has bigger goals for the end of the year.
I want to keep my interceptions down this year and have more passing touchdowns, just more in the air, because I know I can do pretty good with my legs, but just throwing more in the air and having probably about 2,500 yards passing this season.
The multi-sport athlete wants to prove the haters wrong the rest of the year and work on getting better out of the gate and not just in the second half of games, and ultimately win a state title. Garza went off for 225 yards on the ground with 5 rushing touchdowns and completing 7 of 13 passes for 130 yards, which is why Ashton Garza is the athlete of the week. Well, that's your sports. Don, back to you.
All right, Gino, thank you. We're back in a moment. Scientists in Israel have created a model of a human embryo from stem cells. Finally tonight, here's some wild, weird stuff. Scientists in Israel have created a model of a human embryo from stem cells in the laboratory without using sperm, eggs, or a womb. The model resembles an embryo at day 14 when it acquires internal structures, but before it lays down the foundations for body organs. Scientists took stem cells derived from adult human skin cells, as well as others cultured in the lab, then reverted the cells to an early state with the potential to develop into different cell types. You know, back when we were younger, some of these people wrote all these science fiction things saying, you know, in the year 2023, scientists will be doing this and this and this.
And we said,
then we thought, no, that won't be happening.
Never happened.
And then
it's like
now it's happening.
It's like, remember we used to want the Dick Tracy watch with the phone in it?
Oh, yeah.
Well, now they have them.
Remember when there was a Dick Tracy? Yes. Remember when there were comics?
Yeah,
Crazy stuff for sure.
Remember
though.
when the summers weren't like 100 degrees every day?
That's true. That was back in the old days. Yes, I remember we used to play outside.
Guys, I don't remember any of those days. I'm sorry.
We used to play outside.
Oh, they were
for
great
fun.
days.
That was great. You know what a swing looks like?
Oh, vaguely.
Anyway, folks, we continue with the triple digits for at least 2 more days. We're going to tie probably the all-time 100-degree days. And then we do get a break next week when temperatures get down only into the 90s. I say only into the 90s. And we do have daily afternoon showers. So let's keep our fingers crossed on that.
All right. Well, Meg, thank you. And thanks for watching. Hey, we'll see you tonight for 25 News Now at 10. Have a good one, everybody.